Hey there, everybody. It's Maggie from Personal Euphoria with today's plank story. If you don't want to do plank today, you're going to stand with your legs hip distance apart and you're going to do some basic squats. So hinging forward at the hips, sticking that butt out, reaching your arms upward as you go down into your squat and then come back up. I know you can't see my whole leg, but basically doing some squats. All right, so Matt and I just got back from this trip for Greenland, and when I was booking, the agency we went through had a lot of different tours, but two were very similar. The one we went on, which was like more basic, and what they called the adventure tour, which as far as I could tell, we saw all the same things, but the adventure tour hiked longer. They slept in tents and hostels and had shared bathrooms. And that was really the deal breaker for me. Like, I'm not a hostel girl. I don't even love tent. Like, I don't like camping for the sake of camping. If it's the only way I can get somewhere, like Kilimanjaro, I will do tent camping and shared bathrooms, but you better be giving me something I can't see any other way. So as far as I could tell, like, we were seeing the same sites, and so I picked the tour with hotels and private bathrooms. And then when we arrived and they're separating us into groups at the airport, Matt and I were probably 20 years younger than anyone in our group. So they were like 65 to 75. That doesn't bother me. I like people, so it doesn't matter to me what age you are. But given how active I thought our tour was, I was a little surprised to see the age range and some of the fitness level of people in our group. And then they've had us drop off our bags and go on a hike. And for the most part, actually, the group was really impressive. They were good hikers, but there were these three people that really just couldn't keep up. And 10 minutes into the hike, which wasn't that steep and was basically a gravel path, they were struggling cardiovascularly. They were struggling with balance. And the guide was trying to keep us all together, but everybody wanted to move at like a functional pace. And I said to Matt, I'm a little worried. Maybe we should have done the other tour. Although we ran into them, they weren't spring chickens. No one in Greenland was young, right? And the guide also on the first day, he said to us, how come you guys didn't do the adventure tour? And I said, well, I wanted my own bathroom. And so early on, we're kind of hemming and hawing. Did we take the right tour? And then the guide ended up bringing in help from the company so that someone could like kind of stick around at the pace of these three other people and we could kind of move forward as a group. We still were slow, but it was definitely more functional. And we started running into the people on the adventure tour. Like our boat would come in, we'd get off to do what activity they had done that day. They would get on the boat and go from where we had just come to do our activity from yesterday. And we would see them and they'd be like, oh, we were at the tent campsite. There were no showers. We haven't showered in 3 days. And now it was so cold there that the hot shower at the end of the day is what made me get through the trip. So I looked at Matt and I said, we picked the right tour. At one point we found out wherever they were camping or they had to hike to the bathroom, but it was raining again most of the time. So they'd have to, if they woke up at night, they had to hike to a shared bathroom in the rain. I said to Matt, we picked the right tour. They were hiking longer distances than us, like double the distance as us. But again, it was raining and 40 degrees. So I didn't want to hike any longer than we were. Said to Matt, we picked the right tour. Where we went sea kayaking, which was my favorite part of the trip, we had to get into our gear at one of the hostels they stayed at. And they had to teach us how to use the bathroom, which was basically a plastic bag with like this bar in it that was supposed to separate liquids and solids. Now, you didn't then close up your plastic bag and put it to the side. It was a shared plastic bag. I said to Matt, we picked the right tour. One day we had finished our hike in this little town and there was one restaurant and it sold sandwiches and we're sitting there eating sandwiches and the adventure tour is hiking by. Their hike is not done. They're going to continue and have a picnic lunch somewhere. And it was like half the group mutinied. They're like, we're having these sandwiches. We will pay for it with our own money. We're not going to keep hiking. All you're feeding us is broth and porridge. We're taking a break. We're eating here. And I looked at Matt and I said, we picked the right tour. Then when we got stranded in Greenland, which you can hear about in yesterday's plank, this was not because of the tour. This was a little random. Since we had flown in Greenlandic Air, they had a deal with the hotel to make sure that if they couldn't get people out, those people had rooms. Most of the adventure tour had come on Icelandic Air, which didn't have that deal. And so they were losing their rooms. They were pulling them out of the room. They didn't know if they were going to have space for them. They had to hang out in the lobby all day. They eventually did find them a room, but it was much more stressful for them. And one of them looked at me and said, because at that time she thought it was because of what tour we were on, she said, "I think we picked the wrong tour." So needless to say, we picked the right tour. And especially, I ended up getting sick. And if I were sick and in a tent with no heat and no hot shower, it would have been a rough couple of days. So anyway, we didn't pick the adventure tour and it worked out all right. I hope you have a wonderful day. And as always, keep moving.